Alright, so on the bench today, look at this thing. This is an LTD, and this is the EX241D. So I'm pretty sure the D stands for a destroyer. The big guard is a giant whole face. This is metal or aluminum or something.
I hate to say it, but
Yeah, not to be contradictory, but it's very metal.
And so kind of a strange guitar. I've never had one quite like this in the store. And it's got the EMG HZ pickups, which I believe are the EMG passive pickups. But just to double check, we're going to take this back plate off of here and see if there's a battery in there. This video is brought to you by Swiss Picks. It's not just a pick, it's a science. Available at ZIMM'S Guitars or at www.swisspicks.com. Okay, so I got the back plate off of there, and looking at the electronics, you can see the three-way switch right here. You can see where it says EMG right there on that wire, but there is no battery in this guitar, so these are definitely the passive EMGs that go in this one. And in my opinion, that's okay, because there's a lot of guys where these pickups that need a battery, the battery goes dead, it freaks the dudes out. They're like, oh man, what's wrong with my guitar? They bring it in to have the guitar serviced. I put a new battery in it, and then they're like, and then they feel like an idiot for just, you know, their pickups aren't working because just the battery was dead. And they're like, hey man, can you take all these EMGs out and just put regular passive pickups in there? And so yeah, over the last couple of years, I've done 2 or 3 jobs like that where the guys want to take the EMGs out. So it's not that big of a deal, you know. In my opinion, I don't know. I'm not real big on the EMG pickups anyhow. I think what they actually are just pickups that are wound real light, sort of, so to speak. They're not wound with a lot of wire, so they ohm out very, very low. And you need to have a battery and a preamp to bring them up to normal sounding pickups. That's pretty much my opinion on EMGs. So this one, made in Korea, and it's a fun guitar. Let's just do this real quick. We'll spray some of this on here, and I'll go ahead and kind of clean the back because I'm seeing a lot of fingerprints. But there's a lot of guys that love the EMG pickups. For some reason, all the guys that play metal want the EMG pickups. But it is embarrassing when you bring your guitar to a guitar shop and have a luthier look at your guitar, and the only reason it's not working is because your battery is dead. Yeah. And those preamps, they do go bad. I've had a couple Ibanez basses over the years that have had the preamp has gone bad. And so yeah, there's been a couple of times where people ask you to just take those EMGs out. All right, let's plug it in. See if it's making noise. Nice. Okay, so like all the used guitars that come into the store, I have to restring them. You know, I run my fingers underneath these strings and they don't feel too bad. But it's one of those things, you can feel a little bit of dirt under them. Yeah, they're coming off. Right, so I always take my fret guard and a little 1000 grit sandpaper, and I fold it over. And I just kind of polish these frets up a little bit. And this is not to take any metal or any of the meat off of these frets. It's just to take the top layer of dirt off of here, and to make them nice and smooth and to shine them up. Sounded like there was a little hot rod out in the back. Yeah, so there's going to be somebody that's really into metal, and they're going to want this guitar. And there's a lot of, this guitar's been in the back room here at my store for at least like 2 months now or something, and I was, I'm going to do a video on that one. And a lot of guys kind of giggle when they see this guitar, because a lot of guys there's some idiot in the parking lot behind the store doing burnouts. Let's go investigate. I heard an idiot out there. Where's he at? I can see the smoke. I hope he comes back.
Some guy just doing donuts back here.
I heard him.
Yeah.
Okay, so much for that. We missed him. Yeah, so some guy was just doing burnouts in the back parking lot. And I have to admit, I'm guilty of doing the same thing. I have an old Firebird, and I mostly keep it in my garage, but occasionally I will take it out and do some burnouts. Some of my favorite car channels is, what's that one called? Well, of course there's DD's Speed Shop. I watch DD's Speed Shop. And there's Mortsky Repair. That's a good channel. And so, yeah, I watch some of these car YouTube channels. They work on old cars. Vice Grip Garage. Yeah, I watch that stuff. Okay. So, let's go ahead and we're going to take some of this Music Nomad F1 oil. I'm going to put a couple of drops on here. And this fretboard looks really good. This guitar didn't get played very often, I don't think. So we're going to take some piece of paper towel here. We're just going to spread this stuff on. The EX241D. Okay, this thing is ready for some strings. Now normally, I think, let's look at the scale length for a second. So I'm going to set this back down on here. And I'm going to guess this is Gibson scale. 24 3/4. So I would say a 10 gauge string on here would be perfect. So let me go get a pack of strings and we will put some strings on this thing. Here we go. Today's string choice. All right. Ernie Ball 10 through 46. Regular slinky, custom gauge, nickel wound guitar strings made in USA with their headquarters in Coachella, California. Here we go. These will be good on here. Oh yeah, looking good. Yeah, so I do watch some of those car channel YouTubers out there. And so Dee Dee's Speed Shop seems like a nice enough guy. Loves working on chunky old cars. He kind of brags a little bit about being a YouTuber with 100,000 subscribers. But, you know, the sad part is he lives up in Canada, eh? And working on cars in the wintertime, no thank you. And then you got Mortski's Repair. Seems like a really cool guy. He works on old cars, and I think he's up in like North Dakota. So I'm guessing. And again, that poor guy has to get these old cars running. And he just digs up old guitars out of, you know, barns and backyards way, way up there. And in the wintertime, it is cold. But he's got a great dog. I love the Duff dog. And it's funny when you have a dog. Now, I've got 3 little tiny dogs. And I have one dog, and her name is Mimsy. My kids named her Mimsy. And so I call her the Mimsy dog. That's her full name, the Mimsy dog. And so dog is usually the last name of a dog nowadays, right? And his dog is called Duff, but he calls it the Duff dog. And then I have a little dog named Grizz, short for Grizzly. And I call her the Grizz dog. So, and then I also have a little dog that we got out of the pound. And her name is Scrappy. So I have my third dog is called the Scrappy dog. And my son, who's doing my editing for all these videos, he might actually have a few photos of these dogs he can put up there for you guys to see. Yeah, so usually the word dog is usually, it's turned into the dog's last name, okay? That's usually seems like what's happening out in the world today. And then another one of those car channels that I watch is Vice Grip Garage. So I think his name is Derek, and he travels around and he finds old beat up cars and he tries to get them running, and then he's up for the impossible task of driving some old beat up car all the way back to his house. And so he does like a 500-mile journey, or 600, 400, I don't know. He takes these long journeys across the country in these old beat up old cars, which seems a little bit dangerous. And but he's been smart enough to move down somewhere. I think he's in Tennessee now, or maybe it's Kentucky. No, I think he's in Tennessee now. So at least he's not out in the cold. They used to live in Minnesota. So you guys probably have already watched all these same channels, and you guys probably already know all this. All right. It looks a lot better with new strings on it. Let's take our notched straight edge and we're going to put it on here. And this is a short scale guitar. So we're going to use the short scale side of things, and we're going to take a look at that. And that thing is nice and flat. So I'm not going to adjust that truss rod at all. And so again, you guys, if you've seen enough of my videos, you know I just kind of sit here and play the guitar a little bit. And when I do a string bend, I want the next string up to hit me right about halfway in the center of my my ring finger there. So the string height on this looks really good. So let me just go ahead and I'll stretch these strings out a little bit. And this thing will be good to go. So I'm going to put it out in the front showroom and put a price tag on it. And I haven't looked up how much these things go for, but I'm going to guess this is in the $300 to $400 range. LTD really does make great guitars, and they are the lower end version of ESP guitars, and some of them actually say ESP guitars on the back of the neck. This one does not. But ESP guitars, electric sound products, is what ESP stands for. And this again, really nice guitar. Some kid that's into metal is going to love this thing. Down here trying to provide a service for the young kids in this town. I was over in Santa Barbara. No, where was I at? I was over in Santa Monica, California. And there's a guitar shop over there. And they were asking so much money for their guitars. I actually went up to one of the sales guys and I said, man, I feel sorry for the kids in this neighborhood. Because why do you have these guitars? I understand you're in Santa Monica. I understand that your rent is high at this store. But that gives you no reason to try to sell these guitars for so much money. And I really feel bad for the kids in this neighborhood because these guitars are way overpriced, okay? Price stuff accordingly, guys, alright? And do nice things to the kids that come into your store as far as giving them good prices on guitars. And everybody have a great holiday season and get out there and buy yourself a new guitar. If you can afford it, that is. See you in the next video.